You are perfect. You are whole and complete. There are no mistakes. We are not victims. This is The Psychology of Spirit with your host, AuKeeRa Rayne. Feel empowered. This program will provide a forum to bring a refreshing view on life. And now, here's AuKeeRa Rayne.
Hi, welcome again to The Psychology of Spirit. I am AuKeeRa Rayne. Today we're going to talk about communication. It seems all we do is talk, and yet none of us seem to feel heard. We see more people arguing than finding solutions. We seem to walk through this world feeling alone. Why is that? What are we missing? How can we get our point across better? How can we communicate to other people what we need? And how do we get that? The first thing we have to look at is, how often do you listen to yourself? So often we hear ourselves say, nobody listens to me, I'm not being heard. And yet, the one person we rarely listen to is us. A lot of times we're crying for help, we're feeling abandoned and alone, and we don't come to our rescue. We don't say, hey, it's going to be okay. A lot of times we right away run to somebody else to find our solutions, or else to make them responsible for our emotions, through blaming them, or just assuming that they should know what to do for us. When you are with yourself, you need to ask yourself how you're feeling, and when you are having a bad day and when you are having things happen to you, you have to talk to you first. When we look to others for solutions, a lot of times they first of all do not know what's actually happening with us because we haven't told them. We do a lot of assuming. We think that just because we feel the way that we do, other people should know that. But everybody has their own lives going on at the same time. Everybody is in their heads too. So we run to another person saying, you've got to help me. And sometimes they look at us like, I don't know what you're saying. Your life seems really easy to me. We have to remember that all problems are relative. So things that may seem really big to us may just not be big to another person. And we might look at them and say, well, what do you mean? Your life seems pretty easy right now. We may not say it, but we might think it. But you have to take a step back and see, we are all doing our lives to the best of our ability. And all our lives carry stress. If you look at a teenage girl who has a bad hair day, that can be a monumental problem. Her whole day can go bad. And when she communicates, I'm having a bad day because I'm having bad hair issues, her mom may look at her and think, oh my goodness. Because meanwhile, her mom's having trouble balancing the budget, et cetera, et cetera. But in that moment, if the mother takes a second to think back and remember, oh yeah, I remember how that used to feel, and simply say the words, I hear ya, things change. When we say those simple words to ourselves, I hear ya, things change. You must listen to you first before you learn how to communicate appropriately. You'll also find in communication a lot of times we look at somebody else, we pose them all of these problems, whether it's in our marriage or at work, and then we look at them as if they're supposed to know the solutions. A lot of times solutions are then posed by the other person, and we say, well, that won't work for me. The thing is when we're having conversations, you must first take the time to find out what solutions will work for you, especially in marriages and partnerships. A lot of times when we come with aggression, figuring that there is no solution or that this is already a problem, that's when fights occur. The truth of the matter is if you're with somebody you love, you must remember you love them. You must remember to make you right makes them wrong. So why would you choose a person who's always wrong? Didn't you choose someone who's just as smart as you are, who knows as much as you do? Didn't you choose someone who is your equal, someone you respect and a door? I think you did. And I think sometimes we need to remember that. So when you're having an issue, and when you're feeling that there's something going on, let's talk about marriage first, or a relationship. If you feel that there's something going on in there, you need to sit down with you first. You need to look at the fact, how am I feeling? Because remember, you were who you are before you entered this relationship. This relationship is not making you be anybody different. You may choose to react differently, but that is your choice. But another person cannot make you do anything you don't want to do. And yes, our society believes that other people can make us do things we don't want to do. But the truth of the matter is, no one can make you feel or do anything except what you choose to feel or do. Yes, there are some instances where out of fear, we will do certain things that are in our nature. But right now we're talking about the typical, everyday situations that come into play. If you are feeling your back is up against the wall and you are starting to feel angry towards your spouse, you need to sit you down first and have a conversation with you. Because if you noticed, if you right away go to your spouse or your partner and you start saying, well, you did this and you did that and blah, 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 it usually doesn't turn out very well because your partner or spouse turns around and says the same thing to you. Yeah, doesn't work very well. However, if you sit down and you say, okay, I'm feeling exhausted, and you ask yourself, well, what would work for you? In the best case scenario, what would work for you? And you think, well, wouldn't mind some help around the house. Instead of, well, my partner should know better and he or she should already be helping. Talk to yourself first and keep the ego out of it. Well, I would like more help around the house. The other thing we often forget, if we're the main caretaker of the house, is our partner often doesn't know what we need them to do. Most partners, out of respect, believe it or not, will stand back and wait for you to tell them what to do. And this is because they don't want to do something wrong and they respect what you're already doing. And a lot of us take that the wrong way. We think, well, why should I have to ask you what I need help with? Can't you see that that needs help or that needs doing? No, sometimes they can't because they're usually ingrained in their life. And so we need to know to ask for help. Oh, my goodness, that's a hard one, isn't it? A lot of us have trouble asking for help. We think it makes us feel weak, that we're not capable. But at the same time, notice if we're not getting help, we get angry and resentful. Kind of a weird way to look at things, isn't it? Yes, asking for help is a good thing. Asking for help from those you trust is even better. And if you notice, a lot of you who are scared to ask for help are the first to go and help somebody else when they ask, which means all of you who are quick to jump to everybody else need to learn how to say no. Oh my gosh, another big one. Yes. Helping everyone does not make us nice people. We have to start with us first. We have to make sure that we're able to handle our own lives without too much stress, that we can communicate to others what we need, while communicating with other people what we're not able to give them at that time. It's very hard for us to communicate our needs, our emotions, and simply our life, because we aren't listening to us first. So let's go back. I need to ask for help. Jot down what you need help with. And when you ask for help, always allow, out of respect and courtesy, the other person to say no. And if they do say no, don't take it personally. When people say no, it's not because they don't like you or don't want to help. It's because they're not able to at that time. That doesn't mean never. Don't decide it makes you a victim. Don't decide asking for help makes you a victim. Think about your spouse, the one you love. Think about how you could use a tone of voice to ask them if they could help you. Then think about how it would feel if they said, "No, I can't right now." And in some cases, think about when you've asked them more than once and they haven't helped. Now, when you've asked them more than once and they haven't helped, what tone of voice are you using? Are you treating them with the love and respect that they deserve? Are you thinking, "You should already know this, so why isn't it done yet?" A lot of times we treat people with disrespectful tone of voice because of fear. We fear that we are not going to get ours, what we deserve, instead of treating them with the kindness of a stranger. If you look at how we treat strangers, it's often with a lot more kindness and a beautiful tone of voice compared to the way we treat the ones we love. Interesting. So that's a fallback, by the way. If you don't know how to talk to somebody, be it your spouse, your family, or your friends, immediately remind yourself to at least use the tone that you would give a stranger. The kindness of strangers. It's a very simple, quick way to retrack your brain so you don't say something you didn't mean to say. Well, what about my emotions, AuKeeRa? What about when he made me feel that way? I didn't feel this way before. Remember what I said. Nobody makes us feel any way. And it took me a long time, too, to understand that statement. I used to feel, hey, he's doing this to me, or she did that to me. We'll talk about that in a couple minutes.
Your online community for positive change. Seventh Wave Network.